Good evening and welcome. Tonight is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. It is 6 p.m. and this is the calling to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Truckee-Donner Public Utility District. Martina, can I have roll call, please?
Sure. Director Bender?
Here.
Director Finn?
Here.
The record will reflect that Director Randall is absent. Vice President Morrell?
Here.
President Laliotis?
Here. All right. Courtney, would you lead us in the pledge?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Courtney. Brian, any changes to the agenda tonight?
There are no changes this evening.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to public comment. This is time set aside for the public to address the board on any matter that is not on the agenda tonight. Testimony related to any agendized matter should be addressed at the time that item is considered. So do we have any public comment tonight?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, hi, board. Thanks for taking the time for public comment. My name is Megan Harwood. I'm a Truckee resident, TDPUD customer, and I'm a co-lead of a local coalition called 100% Renewable Truckee. We've engaged with some of the staff here. Very grateful to have done so and know Krista well. I also have personally about 10 years of experience working in clean energy and electrification policy and programs, so I'm really happy to be here and engage with you all in this new role that I'm taking on. So I have two quick public comments I wanted to make related to decarbonization priorities at the Public Utilities District. So first comment is that 100% Renewable Truckee is like revamping some of our efforts locally, and we're really interested in getting involved and in supporting the efforts at the PUD related to electrification and clean energy. And one of those is around prioritizing and supporting staff and the board in assessing distributed utility side battery storage projects. So we're aware of the fact that there have been some challenges with projects to date, including loosely familiar with the Martis Valley substation project and some considerations around battery storage projects in conjunction with community solar over at the airport. And we're really supportive of all of these projects and want to encourage the board and team to consider moving forward with as many of these types of project pathways as possible in parallel. They have really long lead times, and we're really excited about this opportunity, in particular, given the really competitive electricity procurement landscape we're increasingly seeing, and given local reliability and reliance risks. We see it as a really big opportunity to improve like capacity, reliability, and to reduce costs from peak load reduction. And so, and RA and capacity procurement needs. So we have aggregated up some examples of contractors and manufacturers who've deployed these systems in other like high snow load, cold climate, and wildfire prone areas in Alaska and Canada and Colorado. And we just want to voice our like very big support for continuing to pursue those project opportunities, and ideally, not just one at a time, but like invest resources into assessing the overall opportunity for those types of projects here. And I also just wanted to comment on the electrification side that we are hugely supportive of and here to be a partner to the board and staff on electrification rebates and incentive uptake. So we know that there are a lot of challenges with electrification, home electrification in particular in the town, and that rebate uptake has been sort of slow for the rebates that we're thrilled that TDPUD does offer, partially due to high project costs and quotes that many of my friends and many of our family members and friends have gone from contractors for heat pump installations, sort of a cycle of like low customer demand, and then low contractor interest and high pricing, et cetera, and concerns around cold climate heat pump performance. And so we're really interested in partnering with the PUD, with the town, with Sierra Business Council, and all of the other actors in this space to consider ways to sort of improve uptake of those programs, like offering or enhancing some of our energy audit and sort of pre-electrification planning or efforts, or organizing things like group buys or bulk purchases where we can negotiate pricing with contractors and homeowners and manufacturers to drive down project costs, investing in like community engagement and marketing and social media and things of that nature, all the way to, we've have some folks who are experts in our coalition on like on-bill financing solutions and think sort of more creative solutions like that. Electrification is really good both for the environment, but it's also really good for business for the PUD. There was a recent study by E3 that showed that high building electrification penetration in PG&E's territory could drive down electric rates as one factor by like 20% by 2040 just through increased throughput and reduction in peak load demand. So we're just really excited about being bullish on home and building electrification, and we're here to be a partner in thinking through how to get, really improved uptake on the wonderful rebates we're excited that that PUD does offer. I want you to consider us as a partner in doing that, and mainly just wanted to introduce myself to the board as a resource and conduit to that revived effort for 100% renewable Truckee. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. All right, is there any other public comment tonight?
I'm Mike Witherspoon. I've spoken with most of you on the board, and you, Brian, as well. I moved into town from the North Star area and was on the board over at North Star Community Services District, and I'm considering a run for this board to help with all the amazing work that you guys do. So at this point, I'm just doing learning. So thank you guys very much for your time previously and your time going forward.
Thanks, Mike. All right, any other public comment tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move on to director updates. Jeff Bender.
None on this side.
Krista?
I have a ton, so it's going to even out. I've had a busy PUD 3 weeks. So a couple things that I have that are PUD focused. I did attend the Climate Transformation Alliance's governing partner meeting last Friday, where we discussed sort of the results of our quarterly meeting. That was the big meeting with all the members, that we did a incubation session coming up with projects. Our next steps, we continue to revisit recruitment discussions and financing discussions. On Monday, this past Monday, a very pleasurable event, I attended the Truckee High School scholarship ceremonies, where all the young people collected money from this community, which is fantastic. It's just inspiring, and I love that moment when they're sort of on the precipice of a whole new life, and it's super exciting. So Tony, President Tony was also there, and it was a pleasure to award our 2 PUD scholarships for $10,000 each over a course of 4 years, one for business and one for engineering. Tuesday, we had a meet with Anna Klavstad and Jen Calloway with the town, with Brian and Tony, just to sort of discuss big picture events that might be on the horizon and how our 2 entities can support each other through these in the best ways. And that was a really interesting conversation. That was a pleasure, again, to attend. And I feel like there's something that I'm forgetting, but oh yeah, this morning, this very morning, again, Tony and I both attended, and Brian did too, the now mandatory SB 827 fiscal and financial training. And just a big shout out to Mike Salman, our CFO. I know because attending that training really showed me what a great job you do in bringing me up to financial literacy. And not only that, just best practices is all over what you do for us. So just that this training confirmed all of that, and I'm really, really grateful for what you do at the PUD. And finally, I just want to share that I am running for re-election. Last meeting, I just assumed everybody assumed that I was, but you may not have, and I am, because I am still just really energized and excited by what this district does. I feel like there are big things on the horizon that I would like to help contribute to and help move forward, and I still really want to be part of that growth. So thank you very much. Those are all my statements tonight.
Krista, Courtney?
Nothing from me because that was great.
All right. Well, yes, Krista and I spent the first part of this week together doing what she said. So, no, really inspiring on Monday night at the school. 100 and there were so many kids in the audience, or that were receiving scholarships. It was very inspiring, and also just to learn more about all the other entities that are giving scholarships out there, and their stories, and it was just a really, really, really fun night, and congratulations to the class of 2026 for sure. And I also want to congratulate Courtney on her finishing up her 9 years on the Tahoe Donner Association board. That is no small feat and should be recognized.
Yeah, I'm transitioning from one board and finishing that tenure and getting, as you said, re-energized and engaged in this new direction. So thank you. That I wasn't expecting to
Well, that's all right.
hear that.
There was a very nice article written about her in the Tahoe Donner News. So,
Oh, you're making me blush.
so congratulations and thank you for your continued service to this community. And just, I believe I said it last meeting, but I will be also rerunning for re-election this year. So, all right, we will now move on to department updates. Mike Swanson.
Good evening, President Laliotis, members of the board. Mike Swanson reporting out for electric engineering and operations. So I will say the last few months it's been rather easy to report out on reliability metrics because we've done very well. However, for the month of April, remember we're a month behind, we had some challenges. Our SAFE, which is the frequency, how often the average customer receives an outage, last month we were 97% below where we were last year. We have shrunk that to 32%. So we had two events. I'll talk about those in a minute. That had a significant impact on our reliability metrics. Sadie, the average customer, the duration the average customer sees, took a big hit there. You can see we went from 94%, which was year-to-date last month, below target, or below 25, I should say, to now we're 15% above where we were in 25. And for Katie, of those customers that did receive an outage, how long were they out? We're 70% above last year's target. So we're at 149 minutes. The customers that received that had an outage were the minutes they were out of power. And you can see the impact compared to just month to date for April on all three of those metrics and the impact it had. There were no transmission provider outages, so that was good. So what drove it? So we had two outages. You may recall on April 2nd, we had a tree fall into a line on Northwoods Avenue. This was due to a snow event that took place. We had 2,074 customers. That's the entire Donner Lake 3 circuit out of power for a total of 963,000 customer minutes. So a little over 7 hours, almost 8 hours of an outage. So it did happen in the middle of the night. We had to get crews to respond, have them assess the damage, and it took a while for us to get everything restored. And on April 2nd, we didn't know it at the time, April 7th, we didn't know it at the time, but we had an underground cable failure. So we had crews working up in the area. We had a hotline tag, which basically means, you may recall the workshop Josh Campbell did on Fast Trip. Hotline tag is very similar. It's actually a little bit faster than our Fast Trip settings. trips the line if something happens. That way, if a worker is on the line, it de-energizes it really fast. Had a hotline tag on, again, that was Donner Lake 3 circuit. We had to patrol that entire circuit, could not find anything. It took us 67 minutes to restore power. On April 14th, we also had a very similar situation. That one, we were able to energize in 22 minutes. We didn't patrol the entire circuit. On 4/15, we had a customer service tag come in, and we had a trouble when we went out, and we had a radial tap right outside of Donner Lake substation. When I say radial, it's just from the main line to underground transformers in. That's all it served. Protected by fuses. We missed it on 4/7. We missed that there was a blown fuse. So once we identified the cable failure, we reached out to the customers. They were both non-residents. They were both vacation homes. They weren't home, thankfully. So we had a total of 13,100 customer minutes. So those customers were out for roughly 8+ days. Again, not home, so not an impact, but it is counted in our metrics. So that outage, the underground cable failure outage was about 25% of the total impact for the month, and the outage on 4/2 was 75%. Very few planned outages that took place in the month of April, just single transformer outages. With that said, we are doing a lot of work on Donner Lake 3 circuit, Tahoe Donner. A lot of activity, a lot of planned outages going on up there. So with that, we're appreciative of the customers being patient with us with those planned outages, because we know you've had an impact the month of April as we move forward. Okay, so I'd like to give a little bit of a grid update as well. So we are in a little bit of an abnormal configuration with our distribution grid. So yesterday, we took the Martis Valley substation offline in preparation for our substation modernization that the board is aware of. So all load was transferred to our Donner Lake circuits and our Donner Lake substations and our Truckee substation. So we typically have 4 official substations. We're down to 3 right now. Martis Valley substation is, as I've stated earlier, is being totally demolished and rebuilt. We also have NV Energy is rebuilding or hardening the 133 transmission line. So you may see helicopters flying over with poles, lots of work being done in that transmission corridor. The 133 transmission line is our backup source. So our typical source is coming from Verdi. It's the 101 transmission line. And we also have, from that 101 line, it serves our the NV Energy 607 line. So if a problem occurs on the 101 transmission line, we could potentially be backed up from the 607 line from the west. I do have a single line diagram that I can leave with the board after that may depict, may be able to tell the story a little bit better than I'm trying to tell it right now. But we typically have 3 potential sources. We're down to 2 right now. Simplest way to put it. The anticipated completion date is in October from NV Energy. They did send out a notification regarding their rebuild line. And with that said, I think we're in pretty good shape as far as fire is concerned, fire issues are concerned. We are in a pretty good situation with all the rain we've had. We are not going to non-reclose. At this time, it'll probably be another 2+ weeks, depending on what the weather brings us. So fuel moisture is still very wet. With that, thank you very much.
I have one question. The last slide where it's talking about the work that NV Energy is doing, will neighbors experience any power outages because of the work they're doing on transmission lines?
They should not receive any outages due
There's no
to that.
outage, no
Nope.
outage plan
Nope.
at all with that replacing of poles, whatever they're doing?
Nothing planned that I'm aware of
Okay.
from NV Energy.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Hello, Alex.
Hello. Good evening, President Laliotis, members of the board. Alex Bihalski, Communications Program Manager, here to present the Communications and Strategic Affairs update for this month. So we had a lot of presence in the community this month. We had two calls that we were on in preparation for wildfire season. So the first one was the Truckee area pre-wildfire season coordination call. That was hosted by the Town of Truckee's Emergency Services Department. A total of 17 agencies were on that call just to share updates and information relevant to fire season. And we were able to present on some of our wildfire-related operations, policies, and programs with that call. And then we also had our own Truckee Donner PUD Wildfire Season Public Safety Partners Kickoff call. And we do that every single year ahead of wildfire season with what we call our public safety partners. Was previously for PSOM, now for PSOM and our own PPS program. But really, this is to review communications protocol ahead of a power shutoff event with 34 local agencies that would require that information. So on that call, we gave updates, as did NV Energy and Liberty. So it was a very successful call for everybody who was on. We also participated in Truckee's first State of the Community event. So 14 local agencies were invited to present, and this event was meant to give residents a little bit of an understanding. We have so many special districts, so many agencies in this town, so a little bit more of an understanding about what services each of these agencies provide. So President Laliotis gave a high-level overview of the PUD. We were only allotted 5 minutes, so it was a lot to cram in a little bit amount of time. But those are kind of the topics that we covered. A little bit of education on public utilities versus investor-owned, talking about our rates, how they compare regionally, some of our upcoming capital investment projects, as well as some of the recent successes we've had in the past few years, talking about our energy planning, power purchasing, and then also local watershed stewardship. So this month, we were running our 5th annual Carbon Bingo sweepstakes. So this is a conservation contest we do every year. It starts on Earth Day, and it ended, technically tomorrow is the last day to get your board in, and then the winner will be drawn at Truckee Day. So communications around this, we did a press release, an all customer email, and a social post. This is a great community engagement tool because the elementary school kids that are in the SWEP sustainability clubs draw all the tiles for the bingo board. So we're able to put that out and engage the kids, and that's a fantastic tool. And then at Truckee Day, the prize that'll be drawn for is a portable battery with a solar panel. So very awesome prize. The Communications and Strategic Affairs Department also hosted our May all-staff meeting. So this was a really great opportunity to educate some of our fellow coworkers on what our department does. We're a little behind the scenes sometimes, so it was nice to kind of show our peers what we do. So we had a presentation about building a communications campaign and kind of everything that goes into that and how we identify the topics that we're going to communicate to the community every year. And then we also did a group activity. We broke everybody out into small groups, and they were asked to brainstorm communications ideas for our upcoming water conservation campaign. And that was, we came out of it with actually a ton of really great ideas that some of them we're probably going to put into practice. So it was cool to see everybody, people who have different roles in the company and different points of view, kind of give us some fresh new ideas for us to use. So we've been doing some communications about some work being done out in the field. So this past week, we actually had some construction alerts go out around, as Mike was saying, the Martis Valley substation rebuild project and some of our overhead hardening work on Tahoe Donner. And really this was at the surface level, this was letting our customers know that there was going to be a planned outage, but it's really a great opportunity to educate the community on what those projects are and how they're such a great benefit to our customers. We also were able to send our new photo video contractor out into the field, and the water and electric departments helped arrange opportunities to capture some footage of some major projects we had going on. That'll be very useful in communicating all these great projects and successes we're having. And then as Mike explained, the NV Energy transmission project will be going on. We were given some talking points from NV Energy this week, as was Tahoe Donner and the town of Truckee. And it's not our project to communicate about, but it really has a huge value for our community and our customers. So it's, again, another opportunity to educate on wildfire hardening, infrastructure investments, even the difference between transmission and distribution. So we'll be working on that in the coming weeks and aligning with Tahoe Donner as well. So update on our Charging Communities Forward program. We attended the Dia de los Niños celebration hosted by the Sierra Community House. This was our first time at this event, and it was a really fantastic opportunity for outreach to Truckee's Spanish-speaking community, which is a goal of the communications department this year. Because it was, family and kid focused, we hosted a craft for the kids. We had paint markers and little canvas magnets, and we asked them to draw things that had to do with power and water, and they had a lot of fun with it. They definitely colored outside of the lines, so we had to buy a new tablecloth for our events department, but it was really, really fun to see the kids get involved. Speaking of community events, this is what's on our slate for the summer, just to give everybody a little bit of a look down the pipeline. We'll be at Truckee Day this weekend. We will be at the first and last Truckee Thursday at the Truckee Air Show, the Tahoe Donner Member Expo, and then the Community Block Party. We had the first one last year, and it was such a great success. They're bringing it back this year in September. So talking about our Charging Futures Forward programming, as Director Leliotis and Director Finn said, the scholarship winners were awarded this week for our 2 college-bound scholarships. So real quick about these kids, really impressive resumes and essays, the things I got to read, but I just picked out a little bit of information about them. So Logan Kane is a Truckee High School senior. He plans to study business management and Spanish at Indiana University or San Diego State University. He has a weighted GPA of 4.08. He volunteers with Pop Warner, and he's on the football, track and field, and snowboard teams at the high school. And then Eden Sachs is also a Truckee High School senior. She plans to study electrical engineering at the University of Nevada, Reno, and she has a weighted GPS of 4.15. She works as a tutor. She volunteers with the Lions Club, and she's a member of the Robotics Club, the Hope Squad, and the Theater Tech Crew. So 2 very deserving students who received those scholarships this year. We also had the opportunity to go to Sierra High School to talk to the students there. So TJ Dwyer, who's our water operations manager, and Ben Silva, who's a journeyman lineman, went over to the high school to talk to students about career opportunities in the utility trades. And what was really, I think, because I went also and witnessed this, I think what was really special about this is sometimes it's hard for students especially to know how to connect the dots between where they are now and where they want to get to in their career. And TJ and Ben both explained in great detail the pathways for those careers, talked about their own journeys, getting to where they are now. So that was very valuable information for those students. And then finally, I'm very pleased to share that the Charging Futures Forward initiative was awarded the Paul J. Raver Community Service Award by the Northwest Public Power Association at its annual meeting in Spokane, Washington recently. So this award is presented to an individual or an NWPPA member utility whose activities have shown superior leadership in the betterment of cities, locales, states, or regions. And they, within the letter that they sent us, they cited our program's grassroots beginnings and then also the benefits it obviously brings our local youth, but also the development opportunities it affords our staff. So that was very exciting for us to go pick that up. And that's it.
Thank you, Alex.
I just want to make a comment. I love to hear all the awards, and I love to hear how staff is excited about these programs and that the development opportunities, like you said, within staff. I mean, that's really rewarding. And then that makes me more excited for the next thing. So I'd love to hear that. It's great.
Hi, Jillian.
Hello, good evening, President Laliotis, members of the board. Jillian Stewart here to present Human Resources and Risk. We haven't had one of these in a little bit, but we have an exciting staffing update. We'd like to welcome Stephen Suter to the PUD. He just started as a seasonal water helper. Again, this is a seasonal 6-month position that helps us out over the summer. So excited to welcome Stephen. And we also have some promotions we'd like to congratulate staff on. Ryan Clement was recently promoted from mechanic to vehicle maintenance foreman. Shannon Hoyt from substation lineman inspector to troubleman. And Josh Scottfold from water service tech and training to a water service tech. So congratulations to those 3. Next up is recognition. We have it for accountability. This was a co-recognition month. So Josh and Nina both won. They were nominated for accountability because while working on a project together, Nina recognized a mistake and immediately worked with Josh to come up with a solution and mitigate any potential negative side effects of the error. Mistakes are uncomfortable, but neither of them focused on blame and dealt with it head on to correct it and implement process changes to avoid this in the future. The way they handled this tricky situation truly demonstrates accountability. Our event recap for the month, we had our annual Earth Day celebration. We do a chili cook-off on this day. Don't know how it relates to Earth Day, but it's just been our tradition. And then we also, not pictured here, we do a clothing swap with our TDPUD logos that may be lightly worn, you don't like it. So we come here and you can donate and kind of swap with our fellow coworkers. We also started the softball season with the Thunderstorms. We are undefeated, right, so far? Game tonight, so excited for that. And then as part of Tahoe Bike Month, we have a PUD team for, I believe, the 3rd year. And to try to earn some points, we're having hosted Tuesday night bike rides by Haley, and so that's a picture of our first bike ride to earn some miles. And then we have safety and risk. Last month, we hosted a de-escalation skills training. Kind of pictured there as the top is staff doing some role playing and kind of bringing a tense situation to a solution. And so it was really a fun, hands-on training. It was high level and quick, and so staff has definitely expressed interest in continuing on with this type of training. And so that's in the works to continue to build upon that. And then June is National Safety Month. We celebrate this every year with kind of a month-long activities based on the themes of the week. So that flyer there has each theme listed out and the activities we're going to do, which include a work truck inspection contest, a slip, trips, and falls obstacle course, some trivia, Jeopardy, and fun things like that to promote our safety culture. Thank you.
Is that it for updates? Oh, yes, Brian.
I'd like to just add kind of 2 comments for some additional, additional input. One, I wanted to reiterate that, as Director Morrell or Vice President Morrell pointed out, that the awards and recognition for some of these programs, the Charging Futures Forward program is a really good example of the board, the GM, talking about the overall larger strategy of reconnecting with our community and investing in the future. And that vision and strategy was presented to staff, and they really ran with this. This was a multi-year effort, and it's been recognized by multiple agencies now: American Public Power Association, Northwest Public Power Association, UAMPS, and that commitment and staff coming up with creative ideas, from the field trips to the tech teams' participation and the scholarships that the board has supported, has really brought a lot of awareness and for our youth of utilities as a viable opportunity in terms of a career through education and training. So I want to commend staff for really coming up with these creative ideas, and that we've definitely seen some of the product there. The other item I wanted to touch on is Mike Swanson talked about the NV Energy transmission work and the coincidence with the Martis Valley subwork. It's, the update is to make sure there's awareness there that we're doing this work, and it has a lot to do with system reliability, infrastructure replacement, wildfire mitigation. From the public's perspective, there may be this concern that this work is coincident with the summer season. I just want to remind the community, our customers, that we're a winter peaking season, or winter peaking utility. And so summer, one, for pure logistics, it's hard to do projects in, the snow load that we get in the winters we get. But it doesn't have the same impact that it might in other California utilities in the Central Valley or in the deserts to the east of us. We're a winter peaking utility, so this late summer, fall are ideal times to do some of these bigger projects, where it may seem counterintuitive because other places have air conditioning load and other summer peaks, coincidences there. So it's not a normal configuration, but it's not completely abnormal that we have coinciding projects in the summer like this. So I just want to offer that little bit of reassurance.
Okay, we have item 8, which is a public hearing to conduct a public hearing regarding adoption of the Truckee Water System 2025 Urban Water Management Plan. I'll let Neil kick this off.
Good evening, President Eliotis, members of the board. The Urban Water Management Planning Act requires that all urban water suppliers prepare an urban water management plan and update it every 5 years. An urban water supplier is a supplier either publicly or privately owned, providing water for municipal purposes, either directly or indirectly, to more than 3,000 customers, or supplying more than 3,000 acre-feet of water annually. The district does qualify on both of those criteria, and we are currently at about 13,800 water system customers. Our current urban water management plan was adopted on June 2nd, 2021, and we are required to adopt and submit the updated urban water management plan no later than July 1st of this year. Preparation of the urban water management plan is exempt from the CEQA process, but we are required to hold a public hearing, which we are conducting this evening. On May 6th, we presented a draft of the urban water management plan to the board. We are not proposing any revisions to the draft document that was presented at that time. And as of May 26th, we have not received any public comments regarding the draft urban water management plan. It has been posted to the district's website, and some other public notification has been performed in accordance with the regulations. There is no direct fiscal impact associated with this item. And the recommendation before you is to conduct the public hearing to receive public comment on the draft urban water management plan, and to consider adoption of the urban water management plan by ratifying resolution 2026-12.
All right. Thank you, Neil. So at this time, I will open up the public hearing on item 8 as presented on the agenda. It is 6:38 p.m. Do we have any public comment on this item tonight? All right. Anything online? No. Okay. It's 6:39, and I will close the public hearing on this comment. We'll move on to director comments. Director Bender.
Looking good, thank you, Neil.
Christopher.
That we did have a detailed workshop on this item last month. As Neil pointed out, we had the opportunity to ask a lot of questions, and we did. And so, we're very clear about what is in this management plan. And just to clarify, this is the urban water management plan. This is not the groundwater management plan. Those are two very different things with very different impacts and very different priorities and capital projects associated with them. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done and the clarity with which you've presented it to the board and the public. That's it for me.
And that is everything that I wanted to say too. Reiterate what I said from May 6th, and it's a well-written, thorough plan. Well done.
All right. Yes, thanks, Neil, and staff for taking care of this every 5 years. It's a valuable plan. It helps to have our resources in place and our systems in place. That this is, well, it should just be an update. They seem to change the regulations every year, so it's an update and an update to the plan. So, but it's what the state wants us to do, so we do it. So I don't have anything further. Once again, thanks for your efforts, Neil. So I believe we have 2 items. We already conducted the public hearing, so that's done. So we do have a resolution
I'll
to
move that
adopt.
we adopt Resolution 2026-12 as presented.
I'll second that.
A motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Neil. All right. We are now on to the consent calendar. And I believe on the consent calendar tonight, we have items 9 through 13 as presented on the agenda and as provided in the board packet. Is there any public comment on the consent calendar tonight? Seeing none. Any director comments, questions?
I'm going to recuse myself because of a real property interest in Gray's Crossing, so I'm going to recuse on item number 12.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the consent calendar tonight?
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar as presented, noting that Director Bender has recused himself from item number 12.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Director Bender has noted that he's recusing himself on item 12. Do I have, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right. Let's go to our first action item of the night, kind of. Consideration to accept the audited financial report for fiscal year 25. Hello, Mike.
Hello. Good evening, President Laliotis, members of the board. I'm excited to present action item number 14, consideration to accept the audited financial report for fiscal year 2025. We're here. So required, typically businesses prepare financial statements and they're not worth much more than the paper that they're on until they get either reviewed, which is kind of a low level of review by an independent party, or they can be audited, and that's what's required in our district code as well as our debt covenants to provide, have an audit of those financial statements. The financial statements themselves are, the numbers are like 4 or 5 pages, then the notes to the financial statements are about 40 to 45 pages. And then we take those basic financial statements, the 50 pages, call it, and we wrap that on the front beginning and post those financial statements with additional information. And that's what you have on your at your dais here this evening is the annual comprehensive financial report. It's also available online after approval this evening. And so that kind of wraps the package of the financial statements with additional information in compliance with the GFOA, the Governmental Financial Officers Association has a best practice. It's about a 100-page checklist. That's quite fun to go through for additional information to ensure that it meets the best practices of government, special districts, those type of things. So that's what's before you. And so inside the ACFR is the actual financial statements as well as the auditor's opinion on those financial statements, which is required. Baker Tilly is our auditor for fiscal year 2025. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Keith Simovic, CPA and principal with Baker Tilly. Keith.
Good evening, President Laliotis and members of the board. Happy to be here again. Thank you for continuing to engage with us to serve as the independent auditor for the district's financial statements. Have some good news to share with you this evening. First and foremost, that the audit is completed at this point. So our audit opinions have been delivered. They were finalized this past week. That in of itself should be a good bit of news and set the tone for this presentation. The fact that we were able to finalize the audit in kind of the initially planned timeframe. This is pretty typical for the audit process with the district in previous years as well. So that is good news in of itself. We haven't had any major delays or had any issues with obtaining the information that we needed or with working with your team. So very, very good news there, and we'll go through kind of the highlights there, our overall process and the different deliverables that we provide as a part of that process, and of course, open it up for any questions that you all might have as well. All right, just a quick snapshot of our team, because it's not just me. You get to hear from me, but there's a whole team behind our audit team, and it's not just who you see on this slide as well. This is really just kind of our core kind of management team. So in addition to myself, Laurel Brasheko served as our what we call our concurring reviewer. It's really a QC review role. We have to have someone either at the senior manager or principal role on every audit that we do. It's not required by our professional standards, but it is a Baker Tilly requirement. That someone at that level that's not otherwise associated with the audit, right? They're not someone that's going to be out here sitting with the rest of our team on calls, talking with your team here or your staff here. Someone really coming in as that cold reviewer, making sure, did we follow all of our professional standards? Did we plan the audit appropriately? Did we respond to all the risks that we identified? And does that final deliverable, does that set of financial statements include everything that it needs to based on what the governmental accounting standards requires you to put in there? So Laurel served in that role, and Cam Troika served as our audit manager again this year, and he was here on site kind of helping to oversee our team and drive the other staff and seniors that were involved on the engagement and work directly with your team here on site for a week. In terms of the different scope of services, this is just to remind you of the different deliverables that you can expect to receive when you hire an independent firm to come in and do an audit of the district's financial statements. First and foremost, what you're probably most familiar with is that audit report of the fairness and accuracy of that financial document, that annual comprehensive financial report, or what we call the ACFR. The goal there is to gather enough audit evidence so we can say that we can give an opinion over the accuracy of that document and the numbers that are presented there and the disclosures that are included in there as well. So to get to that point, right, there's a number of different testing procedures we have to do. It goes all the way back to our initial risk assessment and evaluation and testing of your internal controls. Do you have a good system of checks and balances in place? Can we test some different transactions and see that you've got different approvals and reconciliations and reviews that are happening, right? We have to take a look at that each and every year. That helps us design our audit procedures so we know, what level of risk is there. Are these reviews happening? Are these approvals happening? Is there a good system of checks and balance in place? And then we do use a combination of analytical procedures, really kind of that 30,000-foot view to step back and say, hey, did your revenues and expenses kind of land where we thought they would based on what we've seen in your budget, what we've read in the minutes over the course of the year, our conversations with management, and getting an idea of what are the major transactions that impacted your financial situation during the year, right? And if we compare that to what we're actually seeing in the financial results and we're seeing significant variances, right? That's where we can maybe dig in deeper if something just doesn't make sense, right? That's just stepping out of the weeds and saying, hey, does this make sense? But where we spend the bulk of our time, of course, is that detailed testing, the sampling of transactions, seeing if there's underlying evidence to support that what is reflected in that ACFR document is supported by that evidence. Was it recorded at the right amount, recorded in the right period? Was it classified to the appropriate account as well? And does it follow the underlying accounting standards that are set forth? So those are the things that we're looking for as we go through our process. If we get all those things done and we feel good about the results that we've seen, we can give an audit opinion over the financial statements. The second deliverable on there is what's called the communication to those charged with governance. Really, it is a letter that is addressed to you all as the governing body of the organization, and it's not attached to your financial statements. It's a separate letter to give you more information outside of just, did you get a clean opinion or not? Obviously, that's very, very important. But this is to tell you, well, did you run into issues along the way? Were there errors that you identified as you went along the way? Do you have any material weaknesses in the internal control environment that you identified as well? Those are the types of things that we're reporting within that letter. And we'll go through the highlights of what's in that here tonight. I'm realizing this is showing up pretty small on there, but this is just to kind of summarize the different focus areas where we spend the bulk of our time. This is not everything that we do, by no means. We have to go through every single line item on your financial statements and risk assess each one and come up with a set of procedures for each one. But these are the areas where we spend the bulk of our time. Just real briefly, management override of controls. That sounds scary, but this is just something our audit standards put out there for every audit that we do. That has to be an area of focus. We're not saying that there is any indication that that's happening. That was not the result of our procedures, but we have to design procedures each and every year to say, hey, this could be happening. What do we need to do to make sure that we're identifying that if there is indication that it's happening? The utility plant, of course, that's a large number. It's probably the largest number on your financial statements, but there's a lot of moving pieces in your construction work in process as you're constructing projects throughout the year. A lot of moving pieces and sources of costs that have to come together, get put in the right bucket, reviewed, and then capitalized by your accounting team once those projects are done, placed into service, and depreciated over the appropriate period. So that is a big focus of what we do. Any new accounting standards that come out that everyone has to follow from year to year, not just Truckee Downer PUD, right? Any new accounting standards that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board or GASB puts out, we have to take a look at and see, did your team evaluate that appropriately and make the appropriate updates to their financial reporting as a result of that? One of the new standards this year, really the only new one that was applicable this year, was GASB 102. Really only a disclosure related a new accounting standard. So it really didn't impact the way that you're accounting for any types of transactions. It didn't say, hey, now we have to account for this type of transaction that we didn't before. Nothing like that, like some of the standards that we had more recently related to leasing or pension even several years ago, or other post-employment benefits. Those had a much more significant impact. This was really more of a disclosure only if you have certain things that are going on related to concentrations. If you had a significant customer, for example, that you knew was falling on hard times, that could have an impact on your financial results in future years, you'd have to disclose that. Or constraints, right? If you were hitting maybe a debt limit and you couldn't issue more debt and you needed to move forward with projects, those are the types of things they want you to disclose. After evaluating that, your team didn't really have any of those triggering events that have happened that they needed to disclose, but they did note certain types of concentrations. You know, when you think about maybe power suppliers and things like that you have out there. That are noted in the financial statements. So there's a few changes there, but really didn't have a big impact overall to your financial statements. We have to evaluate your IT controls as well. This is a big piece of what we do. I mentioned up front, we have to look at the checks and balances. We also have to look at that from an IT perspective. What are those internal controls to really kind of regulate how you're providing access to new folks that are hired within the organization? If someone gets a promotion or shifts to a different department, if they're terminated, how are you evaluating those things, making sure you're revoking that access in a timely manner, only giving folks access to the areas that are required for their job? Those are the types of things that we're looking at from that perspective. And then revenue billing and cash receipting, of course, that's another one where you've got a lot of transactions coming into the organization and a lot of moving pieces to make sure when a bill gets to a customer at the end of the day, it's for the right amount, for the right usage. So that's something that we spend a lot of time on as well. So what do those audit reports say at the end of the day? Our audit report over the fairness and accuracy of the financial statements is, of course, a clean opinion. Exactly what you're looking for, and definitely give some additional weight to the financial statements that you've been through that process, that you've had a third party come in and kick the tires on how things are being recorded and the underlying evidence to support those. And then in our communication to those charged with governance, there's a lot of different things that we'll go through in there, but the main point that we always want to know up front, did we have any material weaknesses in internal controls? That's really the highest level of severity of an internal control deficiency that we could identify. We did not have any of those. If we did have these types of things, you probably hear from us earlier in the process, right? And I'm seeing that this is pretty small too on the screen. Don't worry, don't have to get glasses or anything like that. I'm gonna have to squint too, but I've got this stuff pretty well down. So this is kind of the highlights from what is in that communication to those charged with governance, right? So we've got a different box for the different paragraphs that are in there. The main ones that I just want to hit on a little bit, that what you'll see in there, we always want to call out, hey, were there any changes in your significant accounting policies from last year to this year? That's something that we have to evaluate. We wouldn't expect there to be any changes from how you were accounting for something last year to how you're accounting for it this year, unless there is a new accounting standard that came out that everyone had to follow this year, right? And so that's something that we evaluate. We note in there, hey, you had to evaluate GASB 102. I talked through that in a little more depth there just a minute ago, and that really didn't have a big impact on your financial statements. We also have a section in there that talks about any accounting estimates. You know, when I started out doing auditing, I always thought, hey, financial statements, all these numbers, there's hard, fast, underlying evidence for all these things. You know, at the end of the day, there is a lot of estimates that are baked into those financial statements, right? When you think about how you set your allowance for doubtful accounts, how you set your useful lives for your capital assets, right? There's a lot of different things where you have to come up with an estimate there, and that's something that we have to evaluate. Hey, are we seeing any bias that's coming into these numbers from management? Do we see any big differences here compared to other organizations that we audit within the industry? Those are the types of things that we take a look at. Nothing gave us any kind of indication there were any issues or any bias going on this year. There's also a section in there where we talk about, were there any corrected or uncorrected audit misstatements or adjustments? This would be anything as we're going through and conducting our testing. If we pull, say, some underlying evidence and we see that it doesn't match up with what was recorded and captured in your system, that could trigger an audit adjustment, right? Say we pull an invoice that says it should be for $100,000, but it was recorded for $10,000. Something like, you know, easy example there, but those are the types of things that we're looking at. Or maybe it was supposed to be recorded as of December 31st, 2025, but for some reason it didn't get recorded until January 2026, right? We're very focused on the time period as well. So that's another thing that could drive an audit adjustment. We did not have any material audit adjustments or any audit adjustments that came up during our process. So very good, clean result overall. Outside of that, we have to let you know if we're aware of management going out to any other accounting firms looking for a second opinion on anything. This goes back to opinion shopping. To our knowledge, that did not happen. We're not aware of any significant unusual transactions. We didn't have any difficulties in performing the audit. All the information that we asked for as part of this process, we were provided that in a timely manner by your team. All the questions that we had, and we have a lot of them, we were provided with responses to those that satisfied us and helped us to get to the finish line. So really appreciate kind of working with them and the efforts that really the whole team, I know finance does the heavy lifting, but we're talking to folks throughout the organization, whether it's IT or on the payroll side and HR side or customer service and billing, engineering. We're talking to folks throughout the entire organization. So we were able to get all the information that we needed and appreciated all the efforts there. And we didn't have any disagreements, of course, with management at the end of the day. We do have good discussions throughout the year. I'd say that's one thing that's been really nice working with your team here. When there are new accounting standards or new types of transactions that the district is getting into, they're very good and proactive about reaching out and asking about, hey, this is something we're thinking about doing. Here's something the board's talking about. Here's something management's been discussing. What do you think in terms of the accounting? Here's what our thoughts are. Do you have any thoughts on this, right? Well before the audit process, make sure things are set well before we jump in and start the audit process. So really appreciate kind of that partnership and being able to kind of work through those things prior to the audit process starting. All right, I mentioned we didn't have any internal control, material weaknesses or anything, but we always want to note, hey, do we have any observations, best practice type recommendations as well, right? We work with a lot of other organizations, a lot of other utilities, and we always want to bring up anything that we think would be a good best practice to consider. In this case, it had to do with internal controls for managing any changes to the vendor master file. Specifically with any changes to kind of pay information for a specific vendor, right? We're definitely aware that there are all kinds of different fraud schemes out there, vendor impersonation schemes, where someone calls up an organization and says, hey, for our next payment, we changed our banking information, please change the routing information to this, right? And we want to make sure there's a good set of internal controls to validate those changes. And so we didn't see a formal process in place for that. So we are recommending that a process be established that's kind of more formalized. And so everyone's aware, hey, if we get a call in asking for this type of change or something like that, we've got a set process in place that we all are on the same page and follow and make sure we can validate those appropriately. So that's something that we're recommending for the current year. We're aware that there aren't really a lot of changes like this that come up, but of course, it's a good thing to protect yourself in case those types of requests come in. Any questions on that? Okay. There are a couple new accounting standards. I don't want to spend a lot of time on these, but for next year, a little more time might be needed to evaluate these new standards, although both of these will not change how you're accounting for things in terms of, like I talked about with the GASB 102, really going to change your disclosures in your financial statements. So GASB 103, I'd say the biggest impact is related to your management discussion and analysis section of your ACFR. What GASB is looking for there is a lot more kind of rationalization for why certain numbers went up or down from the previous year, rather than just saying, hey, this revenue stream went up by this dollar amount and this percentage from last year. They want you to say the why, what caused that, right? Give more context behind that. So there's more benefit to the reader of the financial statements. I'd say that's the biggest change there. There's some other changes related to maybe your income statement, what they're defining as operating versus non-operating revenues and expenses. So maybe just changing some of the geography of where things are showing up on your income statement, but not changing how you're accounting for those things. And then GASB 104 just has to do with some disclosures surrounding capital assets, and if you had assets held for sale, kind of defining when you can classify something as an asset held for sale, really when you only have a plan in place and you're likely to sell that asset in the next year. Otherwise, you can't call it assets held for sale. That's really the biggest impact there. So might not have much of an impact on your organization in the next year, but some things that your team's already kind of thinking about and we'll be evaluating over the course of this next year. And again, thank you to everyone that plays a part in this process. It starts from the top on down. Of course, appreciate kind of the engagement from the board. We got a chance to meet with President Laliotis while we were on site and have a conversation, which was great. Your general manager, as well as your finance team and everyone else that plays a part in this. Everyone's very, very helpful and really has an all hands on deck approach. So thank you. All right, that's all we have. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Thorough and good to hear that it's clean. So thank you, everyone. Really awesome to hear.
I don't have any questions, but just to reiterate my comments, staff, you guys do amazing work. I feel like the financials involved with a double utility, electric and water, all under one roof, it's extreme. You guys operate under more regulations than seemingly the physical part of what we do, and I just applaud you very much for doing it every day thoroughly with integrity, and we appreciate it so much because it comes back to us. So Lord knows we're grateful for you.
I just want to say a clean audit is a sign of a great team. So thank you for all your work. So thank you for the presentation. Yep, it's good stuff.
Okay, yes. Keith, good to see you again. Thanks for you and your team's hard work. And once again, Mike, Melanie, Tracy, thank you and your team for working with these guys. You know, all I heard was how great it was when they were here working. They asked some great questions of me. I had some great answers for them. And this can be a difficult process, but when managed properly from beginning to end, it makes Keith and his team's job a lot easier. So kudos to our team. Thank you. So, Mike, you wanna take us home?
Couple of quick items. I too would like to echo the collaborative teamwork effort of this, and I do have this evening Melanie Reeves and Tracy Pearson that are instrumental in the success of this annual audit process and the ACFR. It's 100 pages, and these guys are the bread and butter of putting that together in an accurate fashion. And those no audit adjustments and those type of things, that's no small task. and we got a very good track record, and I wanted to just thank you both for all your hard efforts year-round to get us here today and for this process. So thank you very much for all your efforts. So fiscal impact, there's no direct fiscal impact for accepting this report. And the recommendation this evening for the board is to accept the audited financial report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and direct staff to file the record.
Thank you, Mike. I will open it up for public comment if there is any tonight on the item. Anything online? Nope. All right, we'll close public comment. And any desire to have a motion?
Oh, yeah, I'll move that we accept the audited financial report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and we should direct staff to file the record. Why not?
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Krista, second by Jeff. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to item 15, consideration to approve the district's 2025 water utility annual consumer confidence report. TJ,
President
welcome.
Loliotis, members of the board. I'm TJ Dwyer. I'm the Water Operations Manager for Sharkey Donor PUD. I am filling in for Chad Reed this evening. I'm here to present the district's 2025 Consumer Confidence Report. In 1996, amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act requires public water systems to deliver to its customers an annual Consumer Confidence Report, otherwise known as a CCR. The annual CCR is to include information regarding our source water, compliance with regulatory agencies, list of detected contaminants, brief description of contaminated sources and associated health risks. The district provides 2 reports each year, Truckey's main water system and our Hurstel water systems. The State Water Resources Control Board requires that those reports are published by no later than July 1st of each year. In 2012, the State Water Resources Control Board included a provision that allows the district to provide to its customers one-click access via the district's website. The 2025 CCNR was diligently worked on by district staff and prepared for approval by the SWRCB. Within those reports, there was no reportable violations over the maximum contaminant level for contaminants identified by state and federal regulatory agencies. Customers were notified in their May monthly water bill of the availability of the CCNR via the district's one-click link through the district's website. And printed copies of the reports will be made available at the district office upon request. Not every constituent or contaminant is tested every year. Sample taking protocols, certified district staff collects over 500 routine bacteriological samples annually, and that is not including our Title 22 monthly monitoring samples. All those samples then are processed through a state certified laboratory. The State Water Resources Control Board is the primary regulatory agency with respect to potable water in California. And generally speaking, they are more stringent than the federal EPA on drinking water quality standards. Arsenic, the district samples quarterly for arsenic. A little background on arsenic. Arsenic is a naturally occurring element found in rocks, sediments, and minerals. Arsenic can be released into groundwater aquifers through those arsenic-bearing rocks and minerals. Low-level traces of arsenic can be detected in granite and volcanic geology. The district closely monitors these levels in our local groundwater wells to ensure our water meets all federal and state regulatory standards. Lead and copper district tests for lead and copper every 3 years. Lead, little background on lead. Lead can cause health problems. Those samples are first draw samples. The district's in the 90th percentile, which was our score. The district has never exceeded the MCL for lead and copper. And the district in 2025 conducted a lead service line inventory, and there was no lead services found. Fiscal impact, the costs associated with preparation of the 2025 Consumer Confidence Report are included in the board-approved fiscal year 2026 and 2027 within the water operations budget. Staff recommends review the Truckee-Donner Public Utility District's main water system and Herschel Systems 2025 Water Quality Consumer Confidence Reports and provide feedback to staff and direct staff to file the State Water Resources Control Board or file with the State Water Resources Control Board. At this time, I will hand it back to President Laliotis.
Thank you, TJ. I will open this item up for public comment tonight. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to any director comments on the Consumer Confidence Report. Krista.
As always, I enjoy this reading. I just am so grateful for our water supply and the fact that we, the tabs that we keep on it and the conservation that we do surrounding that. There were a few things that I enjoyed. It was a little bit different this year, the sorts of how you reported things and sort of brought them more in reach of the normal person, I guess, with the water hardness little section. And I just, the tables about the detection of everything from the bacteria to disinfection byproducts to lead and copper to various other things. Those tables, it was great to have them, but just moving forward, if we could make those even more kind of, they still seem scary, even though the results aren't scary at all. Like we're all well within, our water is great. It is pure, it is clean, it is not going to hurt anybody in any way. And nonetheless, you still read these tables and you go, oh dear, there's, 8 parts per billion of whatever that is. So just somehow, I don't know if it's possible, it may not be possible, but to make those seem more accurately reflect the reality of the situation, which is the water's great, and I get it. This is all just aesthetics. It's got nothing to do with the actual data in the tables, which is, again, solid and good. So that's my response to this year. So I just we are lucky with our water supply. So that's it.
I agree. We have good water. I don't have anything else to add.
Excellent water. Drink it every day.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Krista, I used to do these for many, many years, and it is very difficult to articulate sort of in layman's terms how good our water quality is. We can say it, but unless you really dig into this report, read all the definitions of what they mean, and then compare the definitions to what is presented on the report, people won't, you have to do that to really get what this means, but you know, people will call with questions or if they have real concerns. But great report as usual. We always continue to monitor what's going on with the state as far as changes to the regulatory requirements as far as similar to arsenic. I know right now, I think I heard that California sort of maybe shelved arsenic for now, considering, because they were considering lowering the MCL beyond 10 or below 10, which is absolutely crazy. But that's what happens. And so, you know, because a change in the MCL for arsenic would have dramatic financial implications to this district and many, 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 many other entities in the state. With that, I think we have is there a recommendation on this item or? All right, we have a staff's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendation.
I'll second that recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, TJ.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Great job. Okay. Item 16, consideration of approval of the 2026 Q1 power cost adjustment of 0.0019 charge per kilowatt hour billed in June 26th, July 26th, and August 26th.
All right, good evening.
Hello, Mike.
This is action item 16. And so first I do want to cover a little bit of background to get everybody refreshed on purchase power costs, our wholesale, which is basically our wholesale purchase of power before we retail sell it to the customers here in the district. And in our 2026 budget, the outflow for purchase power is just over 14.5 million, 14,582,000 budget. And that represents 44% of our operating expenses for the electric utility of just over 33 million. In the previous budget cycle, that 44% was closer to 50%. And so the current year budget that we're operating in, fiscal year 26, is $1 million less in purchase power. That 14,582,000 is about $1 million less than the fiscal year 25 budget. So we detuned our purchase power expectations. We did that because the previous budget cycle had higher expectations of a cost per megawatt hour based on our experience and our 3 and 5 year averages looking back. Well, we've reset that with the budget, and so now we're budgeting less. So our margins are tighter. And then to recover all of our costs, purchase power as well as all our operating expenses, we have an inflow of operating revenues, and 95% of those revenues, of those operating inflows, are from rates, the rates that we charge our customers. So nothing we didn't know, but just a refresher. This is a visual representation of the budget on the far right for 26 and 27. The budget for 2025 is the blue bar kind of in the center. Our forecast is just to the right of that. This is a slide from our budget cycle back in November, public hearing, November 5th. And then the actual was 13 million when I had forecasted roughly 2.5 to 3 months before the end of the year. And I missed that. I had forecasted 14.3 and we came in at 13 million. Why is that? Well, I'm pretty good at forecasting, but not weather. And so we were dramatically impacted by weather in the last 2 months of the year. So significantly milder weather than average. And so our KWH that we purchased and sold was significantly less. The PCA for Q4 was actually pretty small, 0.0001 credit, right? And so the component related to the cost of the purchase power per unit was actually, that variability was low, but we just bought a heck of a lot less in November and December than anticipated on average, okay? Let's see. So all things with the costs have two components generally that drive them: the volume, how much quantity are you buying, and then at what price per unit of that quantity are you purchasing it at. And this is our budget: 180,000 megawatt hours purchased is the volume expectation, $81 in price per unit, and then that equates to the 14,582,000. And there's obviously a lot of variabilities in that. In particular, with several of our power suppliers, there's a large amount of fixed cost. For example, Nebo natural gas plant has a debt service component because we're part owners in that. Okay, same with Veo, which has been down. Veo's been down completely for quite a while now due to a significant maintenance issue. Nebo is at a significantly lower production rate right now due to some major maintenance that's going on. And then wind, we're also part owners in that, so there's debt service related to that. And then when there's lower volume of any of those productions, the cost per unit is going up. So I kind of covered all of that. The amount of electricity that's purchased by our customers, that we buy and then pass along to our customers and deliver and bill for, the volume side of that is reflected in their bill each month due to the variability in the kilowatt hours billed. But the cost per unit side is not addressed, and that's what we have now is called a PCA. It's common with utilities, power cost adjustment. It's particularly in electric and natural gas utilities. We established it in 2024. It's a quarterly reconciliation of the purchase power's price volatility component. And it's a charge when our wholesale cost per megawatt hour is higher than budget, and it's a credit when our power cost per megawatt hour is less than budget. Why do we have a PCA? It adds transparency. It gives us another tool besides our rate reserves that we do have and that are addressed when there's large fluctuations beyond 15% per ordinance. And then it's a more timely reconciliation with our customers, right? Instead of waiting every 2 years in the budget cycle to address what purchase power is doing, we're addressing it much more proactively on a quarterly basis. This is a history of 24 and 25. We had one very small charge in the second quarter of 2024, and other than that, it's been varying levels of credit for our customers, as well as 2 additional transfers, which helped with our rates. When we set rates last fall, we were able to transfer to the rate reserve $194,000 in Q1 of 25 and $238,000 in Q3. So again, that was on the 24-25 budget cycle expectations of purchase power. So diving into Q1 of this year, 2026, a new budget cycle, as I mentioned, tighter margins. We had a variance in our purchase power costs of almost $300,000. And the volume side of that was 9% or $370,000 in savings, but we had a the cost per unit of megawatt hours that we purchased was over by almost $75,000 or 2%. So the net was the $295 or 7%. So the volume side has been addressed through our billing with our customers and how much KWH is billed for each customer, right? But the price side has not been addressed. That's what we're addressing this evening with the PCA. I will note that I took a look at both the flows at the TSD sewer, related to this TSD sewer, and they were substantially down. I couldn't get the exact percentage, but in Q1, they're just like our volume was down, their flows were down, so there was less people here, perhaps due to the environment, weather impacted, and less skiers, those type of things. I also looked at our heating days. I covered that a meeting or two ago with heating days, and the heating days for the Q1 were down 16% to last year and down 20% to the 5-year average. So we had a super mild Q1. We purchased a lot of less power from our wholesaler, and then we sold a lot less power. This is a calculation, the cost per megawatt actual versus budget. There's difference is $1.53. The amount of megawatt hours purchased for the quarter equates to that 75,000. We had a minor true up in the previous quarter's PCA, nets to 70,980. Then we divide that by the estimated billings for June, July, and August of 2026, and that equates to the 0.0019 cents per kilowatt hour charge PCA for June, July, and August of 2026. What does that mean? A little less than a 1% impact on cost per kilowatt hour all in, and then going forward, prospective metric for the next 3 months, the average per account for residential is 454 kilowatt hours times that 0.0019 equates to about 86 cents per month on their bill charge. So just under $1 extra to cover that power cost variance. So we're addressing the variance in cost per megawatt hours fluctuation that's the fiscal impact. And then the recommendation this evening is to approve the power cost adjustment for 2026 Q1 of 0.0019 charge per kilowatt hour billed in June, July, and August of 2026. And with that, I'll turn it back over to President Laliotis and the board.
All right, thanks, Mike. Do we have any public comment on this item tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Move on to director comments. Jeff?
Yeah, thanks, Mike and team, for cranking the numbers on this. And even though the cost of power went up, everybody else gets to see a little bit of credit. So that won't buy one beer. So, dang it. All right. So, but all good. I'm in favor. So, thank you.
I quite like this tool. I'm really glad that you all presented us to it and we were able to adopt it. You know, it's usually, it's great to give money back when we can, but you know, it's important that we recover all of our costs when we can't. You know, and that eye-popping December of 2022 is like, and we certainly don't want to have to handle something like that again. So I just, and being able to transform more into reserve, that was a big focus of this morning's meeting, is that you cannot underestimate the value of robust reserves. So it's, even though now and again, like now, I think this is the second time, and since we've implemented the PCA, that we have a slight increase on people's bills, it's way better than a huge increase on people's bills that's unexpected. That's all from me. Sorry.
Thanks, Mike. I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. I echo the other comments. And just a quick question. How far along are we on rebuilding the rate reserve?
We're coming along very well with that. Darn it, I don't have that specific in front of me, but I have every other document available. So
Probably.
yeah,
probably.
we are real close to the target, which is 50% of purchase power cost. But part of that was that we reduced our expectation in budget to the 14.5 million, 14.6 I think rounded. So that makes it a smaller amount that the reserve expectation, right? Because it's 50% of budget. So yeah, I think we're very close. Interest rates have helped as well. So we had the 2 transfers. We have some budgeted transfer in, and I think we're almost spot on. Yeah, if I recall. I will add that to my department update for next month specifically.
Awesome. Yeah, no, just this is a great tool. We get to slice off smaller pieces instead of bigger pieces, which makes it much easier for our customers and for you guys as we go through the year. So, all right, I don't have anything further. We have a recommendation from staff.
I move that we approve the power cost adjustment for 2026 Q1 of 0.0019 charge per kilowatt hour billed in June 2026, July, and August also 2026.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mike. All right. Item 17, consideration of multi-year support contract for firewalls with E+.
So, good evening, President Laliotis, members of the board. Scott Crow, Assistant General Manager and CIO, here to present item number 17, consideration of a multi-year support contract for firewalls with E+. So first I want to focus on the right-hand side. I talked about this a little bit before, but tonight I wanted to put a little icon of a firewall there and start talking about firewalls. So essentially what a firewall does is it creates a barrier between your external and internal networks. So in our case, we have two types of networks. We have the IT networks, which are what you as a user would see and use on a daily basis, right? So our financial stuff, the different applications that we use, your printers, any of those types of things. Those are the typical IT type networks. We here at the district have what's also called an operational technology networks, which are the networks that actually allow us to monitor and control all of our industrial technologies, right? So allowing us to monitor our water and electric systems and control those as well. Essentially what we want to do is we want to prevent the communications to these internal networks from the outside. So a firewall is both a network device and a security device. It sits at the boundaries between your internal and your external networks. So in our case, like I said, the internal networks are these IT and OT networks, and the external networks would be an internet or other types of other networks that are not part of ours. It sits there, it monitors traffic, and it filters traffic based on preset security rules and acts as a gatekeeper to determine data flow. From a network perspective, firewalls operate directly on the network infrastructure. They connect network links, they route and process data packets, and they dictate the flow of data. From a security perspective, their primary defining function is protection, instead of simply moving data as fast as it can, like network routers. It's basically inspecting all of the data packets, and it blocks unauthorized access to secure your systems. So firewalls do this by using both hardware components and software components. And I'll talk a little bit later about the difference between those in the support here. So essentially, firewalls are very important for network security, but they're also the cornerstone of an organization's cybersecurity program. So a little background. So the annual support and licensing for the district firewalls was approved for this year during the annual procurement section of the December 3rd, 2025 board meeting in the amount of $120,000. That amount was included in the fiscal year 26 budget as well as in the 27 budget. The new renewal this year for this fiscal year starts in November. So while staff was working with our reseller to come up with a quote for the purchase, staff was able to negotiate improved terms if we were to go to a multi-year contract. That's not always the case, but in this case, it is the case, and it's fairly substantial. So moving to a 3-year agreement reduces overall costs, minimizes annual administrative and procurement workload for staff, stabilizes budgeting by locking in rates, and protects the district from future price increases. So if you looked at this little table here, if we just went forward with our standard annual support that we currently have in the budget and was currently approved, and what we've historically done, essentially $120,000 this year. Next year, another $120,000 with whatever possible increases they increase. Same thing for the third year. So a total 3-year cost would be $360,000 plus whatever potential increases the reseller would have. If we utilize this multi-year contract, what was negotiated is we have a 3-year total of $261,657.44. which standardizes the cost every year, starting this year, next year, and the year after at $87,217.15. So as I mentioned, the district's budget this year and next year, this was an anticipated item to be annual operating expense of $120,000, with 65% to electricity utility and 35% to water utility using those GL codes. So as I said, this equates to $360,000 for a total in the 3 years if we were just to move forward that way. The third year being clearly fiscal year 2028. We don't have a budget yet, but you can assume that that's would be the cost for that year as well. So the district entering into a 3-year commitment and a detailed review of the procurement, this transaction qualifies as a subscription-based information technology arrangement, or better known in the financial world, SPITA. SPITAs are subject to generally accepted accounting principles under Governmental Accounting Standards Series Statement Number 96 of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, adopted by the district in 2023. And as I mentioned in the first slide, there's 2 components to this annual support for these firewalls. There's support for the hardware piece of this, which includes like troubleshooting support, firmware updates, security patches, replacement of hardware if something goes wrong. That's the first part. The second part of this annual support for this is the licensing and the troubleshooting of the security software pieces of this platform. So there's a subscription piece to that, and that's where the SPITA comes in. And our esteemed CFO, Mike Salmon, provided me with this simple chart here that kind of just shows what it would be if we just kind of went year to year, the same thing we've done the previous years. This particular agenda item, we incur this cost in this year here, which is $261,651. And then the next 2 years, there is no incurring cost, but there is this investment income impact of this year would be $6,000 for that and $45,000 for 27, with a total impact on our investment income of $10,500. That 3-year savings, though, is still $87,849. As of April 30th, 2026, reserve balances for the electric and water utilities are listed here. For each utility, this item was budgeted as an annual operating expense, not a capital expenditure. As you can see, each utility has sufficient operating reserve to pay their respective 3 years in advance as a capital expenditure. So essentially, this agenda item is to allow the district to realize substantial cost savings by moving from our standard annual purchase to go to like a multi-year purchase. So before you tonight, this recommendation authorizes the general manager to execute a 3-year support contract and associated documents for district firewalls with ePlus using a joint purchasing agreement in the amount of $261,651.44. And with that, I hand it back to President Laliotis.
Thank you, Scott. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment. Director comments. Krista.
I'm totally down with saving $90,000 over 3 years for our walls of fire that we have to have. So it's all good. Thank you.
Ditto.
Commitment equals cost savings, so commit, I say.
Can I make a motion?
I'm not done yet. In a minute. Great report. I want to commend you on taking a complex item, not just firewalls, but sort of running us through the dollars and cents, kind of in a fashion that makes sense, understanding that we're spending a little more upfront to spend less over the next few years. So that was very clear. And it made good sense, so thank you for that. With that,
I'll move staff's recommendation. Thank you, Scott.
I'll second that
All right.
motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right. Item 18, presentation of the district's new website design. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, always
Yes.
always something fun and exciting.
Good evening, President Liliotis, members of the board. Alex Bialski back to show you the new website design for the district's website. So for tonight's workshop, kind of our agenda here is I'm going to walk you through the process that we went through with this website, the overhaul we did for the navigation, the web page audit, then we'll get into the new website. We'll see some of the new website features, and then how this is going to support that goal that both staff and board have for customer education. So for some background, why did we need a new website? We were encountering some frustrations with our current platform. It was a little bit restrictive in what we could do, what we could design. So we were running into obstacles there. We also had issues with unresponsive support and customer service. So that was a big piece when we did go out to bid, looking for somebody who would be able to bring more to the table there. And changing expectations from customers. I think 10, 15 years ago, customers probably didn't expect much digitally from your public utility district. That's definitely changed. And then there's also this desire to better engage customers and educate on utility topics that we all share. So first up, we formed a website committee. So the thought behind this was we wanted a cross-departmental group involved in this process from the beginning so that we can ensure that decisions were being made with all of our most frequent user groups of the website in mind, of the back end of the website as far as staff goes. So you'll see on the screen, those are the members of our committee. We cover communications, customer programs, customer service, clerk's department, and IT. And in addition to this, I worked individually with Chad and TJ in the water department, Mike and Keith in the electric department to make sure that their needs were met as well, and also Nina, our contract administrator. So we've touched all the people that use this website to make sure that everybody has buy-in. So when we thought about how we wanted to change this website, really a focus for us was making sure that we're coming at it from a customer point of view. So the current website navigation is organized by department. And I'm going to show you a screenshot in a minute. When you go to try to click around our website, it's a really overwhelming drop-down menu with a lot of options. The page names don't necessarily really clearly indicate the information that you're trying to get, especially for a customer that doesn't have any industry background. So we wanted to change to a navigation that is organized by customer need. So this is a screenshot of our current website. You'll see at the top navigation, there's 4 options. I want to, customer service, departments, and about us. And this is what we're going to focus on first, kind of just going through what we did to this navigation to try to make it more manageable for our customers. So when you click on departments currently, this is what you get. It covers more than, depending on the size of device you're on, it might cover more than the screen. There's a lot of options there. It's a little hard to navigate. So this was really looking at this. This is kind of where we started. And we said, how can we make this better for our customers? This is what our new homepage is going to look like. There are 5 options in the top navigation. I'm going to go through each one of them. Customer services, outages and safety, electric and water, about TDPUD, and I want to. So first up, we have customer services. And when you hover over, that's the drop-down menu you're going to see. So this is really the most important web pages for functionally dealing with managing your account, basic services, things like that. So we know that this is where we see a lot of traffic. People come to our website to find out how to manage their account, things like that. So one of the things we did do additionally with this is we changed the language to reflect the way that a customer would think. So previously, residential programs was our page for rebates. For me, I don't know that that's a page where I could get money. So we changed it to rebates and incentives. Construction standards as well, we changed to build and renovate. We know that this is really focused on residential. We know that our contractors know to look for for construction standards or new construction. So we have reserved that in one of our quick links on our homepage as well. So we didn't lose that contractor speak either. Outages and safety. So when people come to our website for that kind of urgent or emergency, let's call it, information, you want it to be easy to find. So our electric outage page gets a lot of visitation, so we wanted that front and center. Also, information on PSOM, PPS, wildfire safety, things like that. We also wanted that to be easy to find. That safety page, the last option on the dropdown, that's going to be changed seasonally to reflect the needs of the customers at that time of year. So that's another thing that people come to us for, generator safety, winter safety, things like that. And it's a great repository for all that information. So then we have our electric and water tab, and you'll see in the image when you hover over electric, that's the top. When you hover over water, that's the bottom picture, that's what you get. So this is way scaled back from what we have on our current website. And this is where people can find some deeper information about our utilities. It's focused on very simple buckets of information that would be most relevant to the average customer. Additionally, just because all those pages that we have currently, just because those pages aren't in the top navigation, it doesn't mean that they're gone. One of the features of this new website is that we can link out to relevant pages with what they call teaser cards on the page. So it's really, in our opinion, a more intuitive way to get customers to the pages that they want to get to from a simpler entry point. About TDPUD, this is a better organization of, kind of the nuts and bolts of the district. And again, it's just easier to find things when they're organized by need versus department. So just a quick overview, all the board of directors, board meetings information, employment, finance, that's going to be in this section. And then the I want to section, that's for a customer that has a specific task that they're trying to accomplish. And this is the most clearest, easiest way to direct them to those pages. This does have a redundancy with other quick links or top navigation, but we felt it's worth it because these are some of the most visited pages on our website. So we don't see it as a detriment to have them show up more than once in our navigation, just with the way people's brains work differently. We also have some quick links on the top image there. That's on the top of the new website page. Start service, my account, new construction, and then this bar along the bottom, you'll see in a second, I'll navigate to the new website, are some quick link icons. And these are either pages that are most visited on the website or they are regulatory one-click requirements. So that's why they've been pulled out in this way. All right, let's take a look at the real thing. And I'm going to switch devices now. Give me a minute. There we go. And this is our new website. So I'm going to let this play for a second so everybody can ooh and ah. So currently we have a photo carousel at the header of our website. We decided to instead switch it out with this video. This is a 30-second video that'll loop continuously when you're on the website. And it has footage of our electric and water crews at work, of some of our infrastructure, our substations, our tanks, and then just some beautiful establishing shots of Truckee because it represents the community that we serve and who we are. And this was shot and produced by our new videographer, Generical. So scrolling down here, as I said before, you have the quick links here. your top navigation and your quick links here. Apologies, this is a little, the mouse doesn't really want to slide on this surface, so it might be a little slow. But then we scroll down to our spotlight. So this is going to replace that header carousel we currently have and our spotlight carousel on our current website. So we can use this to promote different topics that we want customers to know about. It's front and center. I think it's very visually appealing and enticing to click through on. So currently, we have all this information kind of rotating through carousels, and the problem there is that the average customer is not going to spend enough time looking at the homepage to see all of those items, and they're probably not going to click through them either. So this is static, and this, puts everything front and center for us to promote out. This will be great for, like I said, our education and communication needs. We can drop news in here. We can drop some of the kind of quicker little bits of information we want a way to get out, maybe work alerts, maybe our more what we're calling blog type posts where we have just a little bit of information to share, and it'll be easily accessible. So we have a section here for whatever we want to feature at whatever time of year. We can just use this for any topic we want to draw attention to. Right now, I have it directing to our employee spotlight page. This page, if you've never seen it, it has interviews with some of our different staff across different departments about their jobs and what they do. Number one, for recruitment, it gives people an idea of what working here is like. But it also humanizes the PUD, I think, and it shows everybody knows that people who work here are their neighbors, but it really drives home that message of us being part of the community and there's real people who work here. But I really see this, in the summer, maybe this is wildfire safety or your money at work. In the winter, maybe it's winter tips. Again, we have a lot of flexibility to change that out as we see fit. And then we have news and events here at the bottom. Right now it's showing board meetings, press releases, and this I'm going to show you on our news and media page. So now we have a more robust news and media page than we did before. So here at the top, kind of the same kind of thing, we can direct customers to information and pages that we want them paying attention to. Click through here, water conservation, your money at work. If someone's coming to this page, they are actually coming to learn. So we can keep a carousel here and it doesn't have the same conflict as it does on the homepage. We have buttons here for press releases, customer notifications, awards and recognition, different things that we're promoting at the district. Some of our recent media coverage, we can click through to those like Sierra Sun, Moonshine Inc. articles. What's going on at TDPUD is a section that I'd like to start having where it has more of that blog kind of feel to it. There's a lot of things that we have going on that I would love to tell the public about, but it doesn't like necessitate a whole web page, and that's kind of been a barrier for us in the past. So what I see here is being able to share those quick updates, a couple photos, a paragraph or two, and it keeps things fresh and lets people know what we have going on out in the community. So on the left here, I named that one In the Community, and that would be more of kind of our events, the stuff we're doing in the schools. Lost myself. Kind of the small news blurbs when we do presentations at different agencies, things like that. And then on the right side at the district, I think that's a place to share kind of small updates about what we do here internally. Kind of some of the stuff you see in our department updates, right? The trainings, some of that workplace culture, our group outings. And again, kind of the exact same thing as the employee spotlight. It humanizes the people who work here and also is a recruitment tool. And then you've got Stephen and I's contact down here and our archived news coverage so that we don't lose these older press releases, but it's not up, the page doesn't go forever and ever. You're scrolling down through it to try to find things. So I'm going to show two other pages just to kind of give you a feel of what the website looks like. So I'm going to go to our water quality page here. So this top image is actually way too big. It needs to be shorter, but I thought it was such a cool picture. I decided to leave it for today for everybody to see. That's our 6170 and 6170B tanks that are above downtown Truckee. That's a new photo we just got in from our photographer about 2 weeks ago. And I've never seen it from that angle. It looks really cool. So I digress. This, like we said, for electric and water, we really scaled back that navigation. There's only 3 pages now coming off of the top navigation. So this is really supposed to serve as a catch-all for what people would want to learn from your water department pages. So the left sidebar, this is your navigation. You're going to see this on almost all pages. It displays which section you're in and all the other tabs in that section. And then on the right, this is what I was talking about before with those teaser cards. So here you have, the page is called water quality. I think that's a pretty appealing topic for our customers when they want to find out more about their water. Maybe they don't know what they want to find out, but water quality is a good place to start. And then you're going to get to your backflow cross connection. You're learning about our aquifer, how to read your smart hub to monitor your water usage, our Truckee Mountain filtered campaign, groundwater management, et cetera, et cetera. So this really having these cards on the side, linking out to other pages, it's really just a better ease of movement between pages. Prior, you'd have to go up to the top navigation, open that navigation. Where was I again? Try to find what you were looking for. I think this really facilitates that movement between pages and finding information way easier. And then lastly, I just want to show you the manage your account page. So we kind of went over our education piece, our more industry piece, and then this is just, your bread and butter. How do I apply for service? How do I sign up for paperless billing? We anticipate that these pages are going to get a lot of use, but instead of having to currently, we kind of have different customer service needs in different places. We have rates in one place. We have paperless billing in another. We have rebates in another. And this kind of simplifies that. It's one click. Everything is in front of you, and then you can navigate out to whatever you need. And that is kind of my demo for you here. Where are we? There's no fiscal impact associated with this workshop, and staff's recommendation is to receive this report and provide input and direction.
Since it's a workshop, we don't need to take public comment. So, directors, what you think?
Have had our website updated. I haven't had a chance to poke around myself very much yet, but I will. It's on the top of my mind. It's just been a strangely busy week this week, but yeah, it looks great from here. I'm excited to see video. I'm excited to have simplification. You're right. I mean, even I have been unable to find things I was looking for on our website, and that's always kind of embarrassing when that is. But I'm excited for the revamp. So thank you so much for the work.
Yeah.
Yay.
I have one question. So you're really well versed in this. You're seeing it all the time. Your team is seeing it all the time, and the list of drop downs that he feels very logical. It's going to navigate easily. As part of your due diligence, if you will, as you're going through, do you pluck someone off the street, so to speak, and say, I mean, really someone who has not seen it at all coming in and kind of experiencing it and that kind of feedback? I'm just sort of curious if that's part of the process.
I hadn't thought of that, but I do think that's a great idea. It's a living, not a living document, but it is a living website. We can make changes. We can make changes to this navigation pretty easily. We can even do it in-house. I don't need to contact the company to do it if I don't want to. So we'll launch, we'll take a look at, we have Google Analytics on all these pages, so we can see kind of what the flow is, how people are navigating through the website, and take a look at that. But I kind of like the idea of a little focus group maybe in a couple months and pluck some unlucky people off the street to come sit in a conference room with me and tell me what they think.
Oh, I didn't think of it, because you're in it, and when you're so in it, you might not see some things or that experience, and I was just sort of curious if that's part
I
of the
think that's
process.
a great point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really good updates. Great to hear. It was a big collaborative effort diving in and making those things. And I do have one question on, a while ago, I had a comment from the neighbor. He was trying to pay his bill on his phone, and there was like this weird floating button that he said was hard to get to on his phone. So I wanted to, if you have a chance to
Yeah.
update that, maybe that's been corrected with this, or if it has, I wanted to flag him down and tell him.
I'll take a look. One of the things with our current website is those header images aren't anchored. So they change with the size of the screen that you're on. So even like on a desktop, when I upload the photo there, on a desktop, I'm actually looking at the lower 2/3 of the photo. On mobile, I'm usually looking at the upper 2/3 of the photo. So it really it's hard to control how it displays for different people. But hopefully that's something that is fixed with this new website, but I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah, this was just the pay the bill button.
On the like the
yeah,
slab.
yeah, on his mobile. So you just want to make sure you can click on it.
That's an important one to
pay
be
it.
able to
Yeah.
click on.
So yeah, but aside from that, everything. Thank you. Yeah, really good update.
Yeah, no, super cool changes. I look forward to, some of the things you guys have simplified on, especially setting up alerts. I think that's, if there's one thing that I think people really rely on now is what's going on with my power. Why is my power out? And the more people we can get on the alert system, the more people that can get, we can get signed up for, pre-notifications of planned outages, things like that. The easier everyone's life will be in the future. So certainly would appreciate, focus on that. Not, I know part of that is also probably customer service, but I think it's really important. It really makes provides a lot more transparency as to what's going on with the district. So, and then on that, when we have outages, will we have similar banners on the
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
on the homepage?
We will, and it'll be kind of the same as it is now, where a banner pops up, says there's an outage. Currently, we manually do that. Usually that's me typing that in when there's an outage. We are working so Streamline is the name of the platform that we're using. We are working with Streamline to attempt to automate that off of OMS. So that'll be pretty fantastic if we can get that going.
Okay. We have received the report. We've provided input and direction to staff, and
Thank you.
I think that's it. All right. So at this time, I'd like to put the regular meeting in recess and move on to our Finance Corporation Board meeting. So I'd like to call the Finance Corporation Board meeting of the Truckee Donner Public Utility District. It is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026, and it is 8:03 p.m. Martina, roll call, please.
Director Bender?
Here.
Director Finn?
Here.
The record will reflect that Director Randall is out, Vice President Morrell? Here. And President Laliotis?
Here. Okay. Any changes to the agenda tonight? Brian?
No, there are no changes this evening.
All right. We will open up the Finance Corp Board meeting to public comment. It's time set aside for the public to address the board on any matter not on this agenda. Testimony related to any agendized matter should be addressed at the time that item is considered. Any public comment on the Finance Corporation Board meeting tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, move right into action items. Action item number 5, as presented on the agenda. Mike Solomon.
Good evening, Board of the Finance Corporation. This is item 5, consideration to accept the audited financial report for fiscal year 25 and the disclosures report. So I mentioned earlier the ACFR is a kind of a robust financial statements and additional information through best practices of the GFOA. We will be submitting our 2025 ACFR for Certificate of Excellence. We have received that award 5 years in a row since the 2020 ACFR. And so we look forward to that 6th year of achievement. We'll find out in January or February. The ACFR includes on page 38 a detail of cash balances, restricted, operating, and designated, and one of those is rate reserve. And the balance for the rate reserve at the end of the year was $7.2 million. And it's currently over 7.3, I think. And so right now it's sitting, so right at year end, it was slightly below the budgeted 50% level target, just slightly. And with investment income, we're now kind of in between the balance for slightly above the balance for 24 or 26 and slightly below the balance requirement for 27. So we're right in there, spot on.
Thank you.
And with that, as you know, the audit is complete with a unmodified opinion. And with this item, we're also included in your staff report was the requirement of the 2015 refunding water certificates of participation debt. They have certain continuing disclosures every year, very specific in the debt issuance as to things like our production of water every year since this issuance. And then I think it's at least 15 years in there. And then, so it's actually before we actually issued this, the history, a number of accounts history, updated for 2025, of course, revenues, our sales to customers. And then, let's see, also in that is our debt service coverage calculation. It's pretty specified in those debt documents how they want their debt service coverage to be exactly calculated. So we have that disclosure for multiple years. And then also our largest customers, because that's a big thing in utilities. If you're reliant on one particular or two or three particular customers, they want to know what that trend is doing. And then they'll do their own research about whether that company is about to go out of business and cause a problem or not, and how it changes over time. So those are some of the things that are in that report. And then we send that off to our trustee and some other debt holders once it is approved this evening, hopefully. And those are the two attachments I just covered. And there's no direct fiscal impact. And the recommendation is the acceptance of the 2025 annual disclosure report, which was attachment 1, and 2025 audited financial statements, which are included in the ACFR as attachment 2, to comport with the continuing disclosure certificate requirements for the 2015 refunding water certificates of participation. All right. With that, I'll turn it back over to President Laliotis.
Thanks, Mike. Do we have any public comment on item 5 tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Any director comments?
Looks good. Still.
Yes.
Solid. Good.
Yes. Aside from the water COP discussion, we already went through all this information earlier tonight. So we have a recommendation on the board.
I'll move staff's recommendation tonight. Thank you, Mike.
I'll second that recommendation.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, item 6.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Approval of the Financing Corporation minutes from December 3rd.
Is that a picture of Mike going to work? Getting it done, right? That's what I thought. I just want to get that on record.
Clearly that wasn't this year.
Sometimes, but you know, you're getting it done and like the priority.
Okay, we have minutes for December 3rd, 2025. Are there any public comments on the minutes? Any director comments on the minutes for December 3rd, 2025? Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 3rd of 2025
For the Financing Corporation.
for the Financing Corporation.
Thank you.
We'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, I will adjourn the Finance Corporation meeting. It is 8:10 p.m. And we will move back into the regular meeting. And we will now go into closed session for item 19 as presented on the agenda.
Thank you.